Okay, so in front of me I have the CZ Scorpion Micro, more specifically the CZ Scorpion EVO 3 S2. Only external differentiation other than the size being on the receiver itself, that it's missing its rear sling loop there. So that's no longer molded into the frame. So just real quickly here, do a safety check for you. So as you can see, the chamber is empty and clear, no magazine in the mag well there. So main specific external features about the Scorpion Micro here, of course there is the collapsing brace there, and then obviously you can tell it's a very different looking front end on this than any other Scorpion you would normally see there. So this isn't a suppressor, it is a No Osprey barrel shroud, and the barrel doesn't even come all the way up into the very end of this here. It actually stops about halfway down. It's a 3-inch barrel to help keep all ammunition subsonic, and then there is a barrel extension that never makes any contact with the bullet itself there. It's just to keep and make sure that there's a bit of a safety measure so that somehow the bullet doesn't magically go 90 degrees or explode and go right into your hand. So and then you can tell this is a M-LOK hand stop. These are all M-LOK rail openings on there, so you can do with those as you will. Charging handle is ambidextrous. You can pull it out and put it into the other side, or if you get a second charging handle, you can technically use both at the same time. So you have a bolt stop and release there. Of course, it does have the notch on both sides, so you can do the HK slap, just as so. You have ambidextrous magazine release, so it's more of an index finger push, but you can use your thumb to release. Aftermarket ones have a little tab that you can do more of an MP5 style mag release. It does come with two 20-round magazines. Of course, you can get the 30-round and even drum magazines for this thing as well, should you want. And then you have the ambidextrous safety. On top of the gun, we do have a pair of iron sights here. So the front iron sight is just a elevation post, and then the rear one actually is a ring sight with multiple apertures, so you can sort of go through with how far you want to shoot. Back to the safety here real quick. So it's got the same safety that everyone hates, the little pyramid safety that digs into your finger when you're shooting. I've already gone ahead and taken care of that. I've gone through, sanded down the safety and backfilled it for a little extra strength with some epoxy just to make it flat. I don't really use this side because I'm mostly you know, manipulating with my thumb, but it's just so that it's not digging into my hand when I'm shooting. To give you an idea how much it does dig into a person's hand when you're shooting, if you're holding it with any sort of, you know, authority there, that basically this is going to dig into your index finger quite severely. I mean, you can tell just by lightly pushing into it, it's already digging into my hand. That, with the kickback of this gun, shooting, it's going to take a chunk out of you, to say the least, or at least cause a blister. They do sell many aftermarket safeties because of this. You really don't need to get any one of them. If you're shooting one-handed primarily over the other, then, like I said, you can just chop it off or grind it down like I did here. Now, going to the major difference, the brace itself there. They do sell these aftermarket now. I believe it's the Manticore Scorpion brace. As you can tell, there is a space on this side that this side doesn't have, because this is actually meant to fit the S1s and not just the S2s. And because of that, you know, there's a bit of a gap, to say the least. So the main difference that the Scorpion Micros come with versus the aftermarket brace is that this has the 1 notch instead of the 2 notches that the aftermarket brace comes with. Still operates exactly the same. Just simply pull on it and it locks into place, and to release you just push down on the lever or the bar up top and just bring it back in. So realistically, that's about all there is for the external differences and external features of this gun. Now, as far as the trigger on this thing, let's go ahead and get this brace out of the way. It is very heavy, to say the least. So, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous how heavy it is, on all honesty here. There we go. Very long, very mushy. Reset is crisp though, at the very least. It does very much let you know when it's reset, but that trigger pull, it's pretty bad, to say the least. Now I know there is a no-cost modification you can do where you can just compress down and compromise the spring integrity there to make that a lot easier of a trigger pull, but there's also aftermarket kits you can get as well. And then of course you can polish some of the trigger pieces to make this just a lot more smoother. Now if you want to access your trigger pack though, just go ahead and lock this back. It's a single pin to get this out, so you just simply push down on this side here, and then of course pull out on this side. And so from here you just simply take the trigger pack from the magwell, just pull up and rotate it out. Of course you can access your bolt assembly from here as well. Really easy to get this cleaned out if you really want to do it that way. And of course you have inside here your trigger pack. Depending upon if you got the international version or the US version, as far the pin down inside there, I'm not sure if you can really see it. That little nub in the middle of the bottom of the trigger well there, that might actually have a washer welded onto it, so you can't remove it from that bolt, or the bolt on the bottom there. So you might have to drill that out in some countries, or if you got certain versions of this gun. But luckily this one doesn't seem to be, because this is made in the Kansas City, Kansas factory there. So reassembly is quite simply the reverse of that. Just make sure it's tucked into the handle and just simply rock it down and in, and then of course then push your bolt back through, or the pin back through there, and then release. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take this syringe and give you my final thoughts on this. All in all, I think it's a very nice performing weapon. As far as the action goes, it's nice and smooth. It's kind of to be expected with the CZ Scorpion platform now. Trigger pull, of course, is always an issue, and there's a few things like grip angle I would definitely be changing, and I've already ordered parts for it. Blowback is a little bit harder than you would expect, given how much metal is flying around, and there's a lot of sparks kicking out of the side of it. You can see I got a little slow-mo of sort of the fireball and the issuing sparks on the side. But that's kind of to be expected with the blowback action. I think my opinions have been a little bit tainted by having to wait for this weapon for so long, with availability as well as delays on CZ's part of things. But still, I think it's a very good pistol, to say the least.